Hello and good evening from Louisville, Kentucky, USA. Larry King here. Hi, how's everybody doing? Hey, major news out of the world of City Skylines, out of the world of city builders. Um, City Skylines 2 Paradox Interactive announcing a major announcement, an important update, as they decided to put it today, as City Skylines 2 delayed. The biggest news, of course, is it's delayed on the console version. So the console version now is scheduled to come out in spring of 2024. I'm Thistle Gamer, by the way. Thanks for joining me tonight. If you're watching this live, feel free to chime in the chat. It will pop up on the screen, and I will attempt to read it. And also, if you're not watching this live, I hope you get something out of it nevertheless. This announcement was made at 8:27 a.m. Central, or no, Eastern time here in America. And that is approximately, no, not approximately, 2:27 p.m. in Stockholm. So mid-afternoon for Paradox to make this announcement. Obviously, a lot of thought has gone into this from Paradox. We saw the announcement on Twitter this morning that led to some links that you could check out. And I've got it all pulled up, and we're going to talk about the differences between these notifications by them. And we're going to talk a little bit about the differences between the old recommended and the new recommended, and the old minimum and the new minimum. So let's just kind of dive right into it. This starts off here by saying, hello, city building enthusiast. We are sharing an update with you today. And here is this update. I'm not going to read this entire thing, but basically the update was that the release on the Xbox and PlayStation 5 spring of 2024. Wow. That is quite the delay. And, you know, just by starting off, first thing that came to my mind was, for a game that was supposed to be, you know, equally as powerful and equally made on console and on PC, that was a little concerning, because if that is the case and there's a delay with the console version, there was obviously something that they saw with the PC version as well that kind of changed their minds on this release timetable. Some people thought this would happen, and of course everybody that, even if they didn't think it would happen, were probably like, ha ha, I told you so. But, you know, I saw some immediate posts even on this, that people were not surprised of this delay. And we all saw it with the dev diaries and the videos building up to October 24th, that there was some frame rate issues with Cities Skylines 2 on these videos. I even pointed it out on the first of my two videos, the one that people actually watched. I pointed out how there were several times where the game was zoomed in, especially when there was a lot of stuff happening on screen, like it might have been snowing, or there might have been an ambulance with lights flashing and things like that. And it definitely slowed down the game. You could tell that it was running at 30 frames per second in a lot of those scenes. You would zoom out 60 frames per second at times. And it really was concerning at that point to see that. And we kept saying, oh, it's B footage, you know, it's old footage, it's from the beta. And it was from the beta. But we get this close to the release, and just now are we making the decision to not only delay the game on the consoles, but to completely revamp the minimum and recommended requirements. And we didn't even really get a solid answer with one part of the requirements, and that's the AMD side. So we're going to hop into that information as well. And it says we'll share more updates on the console release window, and as work on optimization continues, we're also updating the minimum recommended PC specs. Okay. So PC players, you still are going to, here, first one. I'm sorry, but I knew this would happen. PC players, you're still going to be able to play on October 24th. That's the good news. The bad news is console players are going to have to wait till next spring, not next, January, next spring. So this was a good little screenshot that who is this? Troptastic put together, kind of comparing the new specs and the old specs. And I also have actually grabbed a screenshot here. The like I said, a lot of people said, "Oh, I knew this was going to happen," and I think what we all knew was something seemed exactly right with things, right? With the frame rate issues and stuff. When you look at this update in the recommended minimum, let me bring up the actual. Let's do it like this. So, when you bring up the recommended here, the 9700K, okay, is a quick processor. I think I actually have this all broken down for you. So this is kind of a comparison here between this 9700K. This is the new recommended processor, is the 12600K and i5. So right off the bat, it's interesting to me that you're going from an i7 to an i5, but if you look right here, more cores on the 12600. This right here is Passmark Software, a website that compares CPUs and GPUs. We are not really going to be looking at benchmarks necessarily of these. I just want kind of some hard facts, so to speak. Let's see here. Hello, drunken emulator gamer. Hello, another gamer. So, yeah, we want obviously the best possible results, and that's what those videos were about, getting the best possible results out of Cities Skylines. But this is concerning, and it gets more concerning as we move on. The biggest difference here with these, yes, there is a little bit a difference in the core count and the threads, of course. But if you look at the catch speed, we've got a major difference in the catch speed there. That's a much faster catch. And Intel has been developing. Let me get this off the screen. Intel has been developing their catch and getting a lot quicker catches, and that is somewhat to combat AMD on their X3D chips. So that's kind of what that's about. But that being said, that is quite the difference right off the bat. Now, this is recommended. Again, this is not the minimum, which we will talk about here momentarily. I'm trying to get my little chat thing. So I do a live podcast, soccer-related podcast, that I use this same software for, but I generally do not use it for this old gamer's channel, if you can't tell, right? Okay, so, there we go. So, yeah, right off the bat, these stats are a little scary. Let's look at the AMD one. So this is a little bit less of a difference overall. It's not as rattling. Still, you're going from a Ryzen 5 to a Ryzen 7. A little bit difference in the turbo speed. That's the speed in which the processor is running when it's running. When it needs to run harder, which is in game, right? The idle speed, when you're basically just sitting there in Windows or you're doing very minimum task, is the clock speed. But the turbo speed is what it's going to be running like in Cities Skylines. There's not much difference there, but again, if you look at the catch, which I didn't erase, good thing I didn't because it's the exact same spot. The catch is a lot higher. So, that's basically got to do a lot with the CPU and the GPUs interacting with each other. So, yes, that is a concern. I am, thanks for joining me, guys. Appreciate that. Uh, I'm very concerned. My biggest concern, I keep saying concern, is the fact that this was very all of a sudden. We are less than a month away from the PC launch. So that was very alarming to me. Usually games, they have a term called, a game goes gold. I don't know if you guys have heard that. Mrs. Gamer might not pop out today, unfortunately. But yeah, when a game goes gold, it's usually very close to release. Okay. Cities Skylines hadn't gone gold, and one thing I found interesting with this update here, so they had a really good Q&A or FAQ, I should say. So just a couple things right off the bat. Console players are going to be automatically refunded, which is crazy in a sense that it's cool by paradox to be like, we're just automatically going to give you your money back and then you can pre-order it again. But the fact that they automatically did that was kind of like, wow, that means there's a hefty delay. Will this affect the Steam release? Nope. It's going to be October 24th. But this FAQ was interesting, and they did put it out, and they've been very transparent about these things. We had all these videos, right, every week. Every Monday I looked forward to 10 a.m. my time to watch one of those videos. And, it just built up over time. And then here we are, right? So, but that short window, the game not going gold, them saying stuff like we're still optimizing the game, that is very strange. We've watched these content creators that got early access, and it's kind of been hit or miss, right? Like I've seen a couple of them that were very smooth. I used Move the Mouse's footage, and his ran pretty smooth. Now, if you recall, he has the 3080 10 gigabyte, which is now the recommended GPU. But if you also recall, he had to turn everything down to medium. He had a lot of things disabled. We talked in the video about RAM and VRAM and the importance of that. Maybe it is more than just the 4K and the 1440p type stuff. It's very possible. It's very possible. Here are the graphic card comparisons. The 2080 Ti, the original recommended, and the 3080 RTX is now the recommended. So we go from 11 gigabytes to 10 gigabytes, but we have a quite the jump up in memory speed and quite the jump up in overall speed. The difference between a 3000 series RTX and a 2000 series RTX is pretty substantial overall. As you can see, these cards, well, first seen on this chart, these are not exactly release dates, but 2 years apart, give or take. I said we weren't going to do benchmarks, but DirectX 12, which is what Cities Skylines 2 will be using as its core DirectX, you got a 15% difference in FPS. Not out of this world substantial, but still a pretty big difference, and especially at this point in the game. A lot of people I know have a 2080 Ti. A 2080 Ti was like the card to get when it was, somewhat new. It's still going to run Cities Skylines 2. It's still going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It's still going to be fine. But there is something that they discovered that was making a little bit of a difference, and they decided to update these stats. A 3080 is a reasonably priced card. As you can see here, the 2080 Ti is still highly sought out. It's still a lot more. Now that's the price on here. I'm sure that you could probably find one cheaper than $1,400, but there's a significant price difference in the two. Better for the 3080, but still a jump up there. Switching to Radeon. Now, this is where things get a little interesting. So here's our, dang it, I can get rid of that. How do I get rid of that? Okay. So this is what's kind of interesting. Instead of giving an AMD GPU, we have AMD equivalent. I am totally confused by this. AMD equivalent. So here we are, we've been working on the game, a major publisher, right? I would just guess that they have more than one computer at Paradox to try out the game. You know, obviously they get the computer set up to do your graphics and sound and all this design, right? They've got to have more than one computer to test the game out, but yet AMD equivalent. This is sad. This is sad for me. I'm going to make this a tad bit smaller. This is sad for me though. AMD equivalent. Now, you might ask yourself, this old gamer, what is a 3080 equivalent? Guess what? It's the 6800 XT, more or less. 6800 XT. It does not make any sense. So an entire generation gap jump up on the GeForce. And then we're basically saying more or less it's going to be the equivalent of what they already had. Now you see there is a major difference here in some stats. But if you go down here, look at this overall rating, just about the same. There's not much jump up. Not much jump up at all. But yeah, I found that peculiar. AMD equivalent. We also get that on the minimum, which we will talk about momentarily. I'm going to catch up a little bit with you guys. Hello, everybody. Thank you guys for joining me. Jacob, yeah, 4 years to make it. Yeah, they did. And, you know, it's very possible, likely, that it is going to have some bugs. And I talked about it at the beginning of the program. You know, we watched those videos, and I highlighted it on my videos. There were some major frame rate issues. You would think that even if you had those frame rate issues, you would try to find a way to get around that as the publisher putting these videos out. We kept thinking they were older videos, whatever the case may be. Then we had a delay in the citizens and lifespan to get better animations. There's been hints here or there of this possibly happening. Poor console players though, right? Poor console players. Locked at 30. I mean, you know, that could be a possibility for sure. The, you know, you could tell that some of that it had to have been 30 frames per second. And you would get the zoomed out shots, and that would be, you know, generally that would look really good and really smooth. But you don't want to be turning it, especially on like move the mouse with that 3080, having to turn it down on medium. I do not get that. And when you say a 3080, you are now surpassing the equivalent of your PlayStation 5 and your Xbox, okay? By a little, not by a lot, but you're still surpassing it. And to be developed on all these consoles, to run fluently on all these consoles at once, and PC, you know, we developed this for everything. Did you forget a few things along the way? I'm not really sure. Oh, yes. Thank you, Bonbon. Bonbon's out doing my dirty work. Thank you. Wait a minute. I got something to like. Maybe there was issues with the terror. Haha! Yes, that's around from my mansion days. My live streams. Do not watch any of those. Okay. Minimum. Just had my release on the minimum video. If you're wondering on a personal level, if I feel like my videos are now obsolete, I don't feel like they're obsolete. I do feel like they were an incredible waste of time. I had fun making them. So here, we're jumping up a generation on the from a 4790 to a 6700K. Again, this one is very minimal. Now you have this little scary number here, but keep in mind these are just average benchmarks using benchmarking software programs, and it's not like applies to every single type game. But these are old processors, really. But there were people in chatting on the video or commenting on the videos that they had the 6700 or they had the 4790. So they are still pretty common, but that's a big difference in from minimum to recommended, which I'm not going to dive into all that, but this isn't as bad of a difference here. Okay. Ryzen, we go from first generation Ryzen to a second generation Ryzen. Again, not all that much difference, okay? But still, why, right? You're looking at about the same percent on this overall CPU mark. I guess you guys get an inside look at what advertisers want me to see. They want me to watch the new Rick and Morty. You guys like Rick and Morty? It's very popular. I've never watched it. All right, let's move on to the graphics card. By the way, this is bourbon, not whiskey. All right. We go from, this is the minimum end of things. We go from a 780 to a 970. Okay. Yeah. So that is not astronomical. Now here's something that's really funny. From what I understand, Ren and Stimpy, right? From what I understand, this game was designed for DirectX 12. GeForce 780 on here, it says DirectX 11, which is funny because the original minimum GPU was the 780. I actually still got my 770 box from the first video. That's how lazy I am. It's been sitting in the floor next to me since filming that 3 months ago. Look how pretty this box is. Yeah, fully supports Microsoft DirectX 11. So if you are a regular gamer, you've probably switched between. You got that right. You need bourbon to do this. You probably have switched between DirectX 11 and DirectX 12 in some games. For example, in Final Fantasy 14 MMO RPG, you can switch between the two. You can also do it in Guild Wars 2, a couple of MMOs I play. So you can do it between. When you switch to DirectX 11, you get like 100 extra frames. It's crazy. Switch to DirectX 12, frame rate lowers quite a bit. However, it looks a lot better. So there's no doubt to me that the game is using DirectX 12, but I found it curious that the 700 series GeForce is DirectX 11. That's kind of interesting. Thanks again you guys for joining me. I really appreciate it. All right. Let's turn our attention to Radeon, AMD. So, again, going back to our Troptastic, our friend Troptastic. He put this on here. So, yes, 970 minimum or AMD equivalent. Oh, AMD equivalent. I do not understand. I don't understand why the AMD equivalent would be something that they decided to put on there and not just actually put the actual what they thought it would be. However, in my research that I did in 30 minutes before I went live, this is kind of the equivalent of the 30. So the RX 470 was the first go around, the original minimum. This 3090X is very similar. There's a bunch of cards by Radeon that are kind of around the same time period that kind of run. Similarities are very common in those across the board. So there's a lot that you can compare to. But if you just did 470 versus 390, that's a pretty good jump up on the minimum. So yeah, that's not good as well. Games Radar had an interesting article. I'm not going to read anything here word to word, but the devs were saying that these specs are for full or FHD. So they presume a target of full HD is 1080p. Okay, in the most common sense, it's 1080p. That is I don't know. That's not a good sign either. And this article goes on to talk about unoptimized, and that's one word for it, but I think it's kind of more than that. Mods to fix it. Yes, and the thing is mods fix a lot of things. They weren't needed to fix Cities Skylines 1's base game. Now, at first, yes, there was some issues with Cities Skylines 1. But if you kickstart, you turn off all your mods, you turn off everything, and you play Cities Skylines 1 right now, it runs like a dream, right? It runs perfectly until you start getting up to a huge city and stuff. But generally, it runs perfectly. And it looks like we're not going to get that with Cities Skylines 2. Yeah, these people right here are definitely the target audience that advertisers are looking for with me. Okay, let's see. I am old, right? This is fascinating. Okay, so let me ask you guys out there. What do you guys think? Are you more concerned now? I'm definitely more concerned. I'll tell you where I've been leaning, and then we just kind of have an open forum here. So I've been thinking about updating my graphics card. I'm on a 2070 Super RTX 2070 Super. Thinking about updating my graphics card. It more than likely would be a situation where my processor could not keep up with a new graphics card. Even though I'm running a Ryzen 5900X, it probably could not keep up with that. So there would be some bottlenecking going on, but I'd still get better performance overall and significant update on the VRAM. The VRAM is something I chatted a lot about with people on my comments for my videos. And I still think that overall, those are more tied in to running the game in the 4K realm. But if the devs are saying that these specs are for 1080p, then why are we recommending 16 gigabyte, 12 gigabyte VRAM? We've actually gone down on the VRAM. We've gone down on the VRAM on the 3080 compared to the 2070 Ti. But I don't know. I still think that that's going to be the case. Yep. Yes. PS5 has had a few little issues like that here or there. Um, yes. Larry, that is a good point. It's going to be very interesting to see because I'm more concerned the game is not ready. 100%. That's what I would say between those two. I'm more concerned about that because even though, yeah, this was when we all read it as PC gamers, as console gamers, you're drinking like a whole bottle of this tonight, right? But as PC gamers, obviously we saw that and we were like, ugh. But just skip all the technicalities of it. It's not too major of a difference in the recommended. It's not like a huge difference. It's not like they said, no, you're not going to be able to run it on 2080 Ti, but you're going to need a 4090. You know, they didn't say that. They didn't say you needed the top of the top of the top. Processing power and nothing else. You know, one thing is the cores, and I've talked a lot about the cores and the core power and them saying they're going to utilize all the cores. The PS5, the Xbox are 8 cores, okay? It's a version. It's kind of the equivalent of a Ryzen 7 3700. They're 8-core processors, 16 threads. If those need more optimization, you're definitely going to need some more optimization on the PC, running it at the way that you want to, the way you want to run it. Let's see here. 5800X. I run AMD and I have for a long time. They seem to be more of a, you know, a processor that I don't know, I've always been comfortable with installing them, things of that nature. But yeah, I mean these are fast processors, but this isn't anything like just glancing at it. We're still on an AM4 socket. It's not too major. Yeah, maybe bogged down. I think we saw that right off the bat, right? We saw that in the videos uh, that we all saw the frame rate dropping and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, just not good, not good. Here's a question that was you know, one of their FAQ questions, but it says, why did you or why do you raise the minimum recommended specs? Is that worded correctly? I don't think it is. Cities Skylines 2 is the next generation title and therefore has certain hardware requirements. The recommended specs were set when the game was still in development. After having done extensive testing with our one computer with different hardware, we made the decision to update the minimum recommended specs for a better player experience. Yeah. And we did so about 26 days ahead of time. Oh, goodness. Yeah. Yeah, the physical copies are really cool. I like what they had, but yeah. Yeah, spring is far away. We're just now getting to fall, right? So spring is far away for the console gamers. That was kind of like, to me, as concerning, the fact that it got delayed on console after hearing how this was being developed across the board. That was really concerning to me too, because that meant that something was off from the get-go. You know, when they were playing this game with the original minimum recommended, and just now finding out, oh, never mind, you're going to need something a little bit more powerful. I'm not really sure. Not really sure. Those of you that use the PC Game Pass or Xbox Game Pass, it's still going to be, well, I guess it's PC Game Pass on the PC. Still going to be good on the PC. Not on console for the Xbox Game Pass. Just seeing if there's anything else on here. Let's see. PC Gamer, one of my favorite websites. They had a little something about it as well. Just wanted to see. Where is it? Hey, at least if you get that 3080, you're going to be able to really kill Phantom Liberty. That ray tracing is going to look tremendous. Why they patch up Cities Skylines 2, apparently. All right, it was just on here a second ago. Oh, come on. Don't make me use the search box. That's too difficult. I have really been looking at the 79 XTX. I have been doing some extensive research on it because for the price, value per frames, as some of the hardware testers like to say, you cannot beat that GPU. Absolutely cannot beat it. So yeah, this was the quote here, and this was probably on Paradox as well. I just missed it, but once again with the older people, what is going on here? We are hard at work getting the game ready for our release on October 24th. I think that's all I need to say about that. We are hard at work. We're still getting things together. I know that Paradox has to be heartbroken about this, you know. So I'm not trying to rag on them. Making games is hard. I could never start doing that. But while doing so, we have come to realize we need more time to reach quality targets we have set. As we want to provide the best experience for our players, we are updating the release window. The additional time allows us to focus on matching the quality and performance across all platforms. So are we going, basically we are getting early access, right? Some content creators got early access. I guess everybody gets early access October 24th. That's kind of what I read there, right? Yeah, that 3700X will match very well with the 7900 XTX. That will be a great combo. Yeah, so I don't know. You know, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. Cubs are playing at Braves. They're about to blow the wild card. But it is what it is, and we can only hope that at the end of the day, we're going to get a somewhat quality game right off the bat. We know this game is going to be good, right, when it's all said and done. Everybody is hyped. Everybody is hyped about it. I'm hyped. I've gotten more hyped. A little inside baseball for you. So I've watched every single one of the Dev Diaries, whatever they were called. Not Dev Diaries. Whatever was come out on Monday. Help me out here, Bon Bon. The Commodore 64 will not run this game. It will run Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune very well. And there's actually Indiana Jones for Commodore that I never could get. I never could find it. Are we sure it's coming out October 24th? That is a good question too, because who knows? The news next Tuesday or the news next Wednesday might be they're delaying it for PC. I sure hope not. I took my vacation is approved, people. So anyway, I watched every one of those all the way through one time, and that's it. I have not watched any other live streams. I watched the Move the Mouse one, and it just so happened I got lucky that he looked in the menus, and I was kind of skipping around. The reason for that is I do the same thing with other games. Now, I know you're probably saying, well, this old gamer, you made the videos and all that. Well, yeah, but I was basically just taking clips of it. I wasn't paying attention to what I was seeing. Yeah, I saw the RPG-like trees and all that stuff, but I'm trying to stay to the point where I am not, I want to be surprised. I do that with a lot of games. I want to be surprised at a lot of things. I don't want to like watch somebody else play it and then be like, oh yeah, I remember this person playing that. I like to be surprised. But anyway, I have no idea where I was going with that. Maybe I'll read one of these and it'll help me get back to where I was. I just saw the Nintendo Switch version. Yeah, good luck with that one. Well, phew, man, I need your job. I'd love to take that. Tomas, hello. Yeah, I don't think they're going to delay the PC version. The good thing about PC is, and if you guys do a lot of Steam stuff, there's the Forest 2, okay, is early access. It's been early access since they came out. It'll probably continue to be early access for a very long time. Now, there's a difference between early access because you want it to be early access and early access because, oops, something's messed up. It would not be a good thing for Paradox to say this is an early access version. Basically, they couldn't do that because they got a release date on this game. It says October 24th. So they really can't do that. Yes, that is. Oh yeah, it's enough for sure. That's enough from the GPU and the processor. Again, up to this point, my concern with and the newer GPUs have a lot of VRAM built on, but my concern was always that higher number, especially when we first saw those recommended specifications. When I saw the 16 gigabytes, I thought it's 4K. That is what's driving that. All that VRAM is going into producing a 4K display. Okay, a lot more pixels on the screen. But in actuality, now that we've seen that 1080p quote, the fact that they are saying that the devs say the specs are for full HD, what it says presumably means 1080p. FHD is what 1080p was called back when 1080p was like a new thing. But now I'm kind of concerned because now the VRAM might not be to do as much with the resolution as I thought. But I still think your setup there, Tomas, is going to be just fine. If you're out there and you're like, I saw a few comments on my video, people are like freaking out and saying, oh, I'm going to, get a refund on my pre-order and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, I guess the bottom line, as I like to say, is I don't think that you're going to have to, I don't think you should be that concerned. I don't think that this is going to be as, I got this little thing. Look at that. Isn't that cool? I don't think you should be as concerned about these new updates as some people are. They are, yes, there is a difference, and there's a reason they did them, obviously. but it's not astronomical. It's not so much that you're just going to have to completely tear down the computer you have right now. That's for sure. Why haven't we seen anything about the editors yet? Can you clarify on that? Do you mean like from the actual game editors? I I would imagine they are in damage control mode right now. Like if you think, oh, map editor, yes, that's a good point too. Obviously, there's people out there that have had access to this too, a little bit longer than most of us. And again, like I said earlier, um, there's I don't know. It's just weird to me that with the AMD equivalent thing, that they could not tell us an AMD equivalent. There's been so many people that's obviously had this game in hand, and they've been doing stuff with it, whether it be developing or whatever the case may be map editing and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. Yeah, yeah, Jacob. Today was actually this was the day. September 28th, 2023, the year of our Lord. We're going to turn it on for the first time and see what actually happens. I mean, we know maybe that's why we just got the soundtrack, is because they are like, okay, we got the soundtrack in place. We're ready to turn it on for the first time. Here goes nothing. Oh, crap. 15 frames per second at 1080p? No way. Surely not, right? Surely not. Yeah, and in the videos, I know that a lot of that footage on the videos was from early builds, and Pocket Change actually made the original city, right, on the trailer. So, like, if you look at that, and then sometimes when you see it in the dev diaries, you actually see that it says Dollar Town or whatever he called it, right? So they were using a lot of that early build. And look, there's probably sort of NDA type thing. You cannot. I didn't realize I was still big. Sorry about that. You cannot talk about these problems that you see, right? So, yeah. Ah, yes. Well, that would make sense. And GeForce Now and things like that are becoming more common as well. That technology is out there. Maybe that's what they're going to break down and tell us, that this game is officially going to be only streaming. Here again is the originals. I think the most interesting thing to me is the fact that we went from a 2080 Ti to a 3080, 10 gigabytes. We actually dropped a gig. That was that is very interesting to me. What a nice website this is. Oh, Bon. Jacob, no, there's not really a program on Earth that you need more than 64 gigabytes of RAM. Um, if you do Blender type software, for lack of a better term, if you do Major League Adobe Premiere type stuff, maybe 64 gigabytes, or maybe more than 64 gigabytes. But for any sort of game, no. Games at their base, you keep in mind when like consoles, the generations of consoles, PS4, PS5, whatever. Okay. that is what dictates PC gaming. Okay, that is the more popular thing. More people play video games on consoles than computer. So when that updates, PC gaming has to update. The PlayStation 5 is running on, and they're actually both running on a very similar chip. And it's using RDNA 2, which is basically the equivalent of a Radeon 6800. It's using the equivalent of a Ryzen 7 3700X. So, you know, that is the base of all games. Therefore, you can get by with the 16 gigabytes on most of these newer games. 32 is what I would always recommend going forward. There's really no point in 16 gigabytes if you're building a new rig. 64 is what I have, and that is overkill. Very, very, very seldomly do I ramp up when I look at my task manager. I do not normally get anywhere close to maxing out the RAM that I'm using. Now, who knows? Who knows with this game? They might come out tomorrow and say 128 gigabytes. Who knows, right? This portion of the broadcast is brought to you by Hank's Auto Salvage. Some might get that. I have about, I'm about the same way. I've probably got 100 mods, less assets, but that's because recently I went through and got rid of a lot of them. Yeah, so on Cities Skylines 1, the loading screen mod that would show you that, you know, how your like gigabytes on the RAM would go up and up. The highest I ever saw that getting to 64 was like 50. So maybe I'm just a I'm not a professional City Skyliner. That's what it is. That's what it is. Semi-pro. All right. Well, guys, what else? I don't think I have anything else. I really appreciate you guys joining me. I think if you're watching this after the fact, not the live version, sorry that you missed out. Feel free to drop me a comment, and I'd love to chat with you guys. I have, on a personal level, and I kind of said this at the end of my last video, I have absolutely just been very humbled by all the response and comments, and even the ones that said some things that were like, whatever. All that, man, it was awesome. I've been making videos for years, so to have one finally get up there, up in the thousands rather quickly was pretty cool. And I am not a tech expert, but I have been doing this stuff for about 20 years, 25 years, give or take. So I love the comments, and I'll answer everything the best I can. Obviously, this is game changing, and I even had people make comments on my video about you know, that they are upgrading based on some of the recommendations that I said, and that's awesome. And it just sucks that maybe they upgraded to something that is now not what is needed. And that's like, at the end of the day, that's one of those like, man, you can delay a game. It's not like when spring rolls around, you're going to have to upgrade your PlayStation 5 to run Cities Skylines 2. But all of us that might have been eyeing out, including myself, certain things they might want to upgrade, or maybe building a whole new computer or whatever, and now we're kind of like starting over again in a sense. But like I said, I don't think there's that humongous of a difference that you're going to have to just completely throw your computer in a fire or something, right? 10 to 15 minutes, lucky you. So 750 power supply. So with power supplies, just make sure you pay attention to more than just the wattage. There's gold, there's platinum, different levels of it. Power supplies. I'm not a power supply expert, but I will say that don't look at just the wattage. Look at what quality, I guess would be the word. Gold, platinum. Oh, what is the one underneath it? Can't think of it. But that is just as important. Yeah, I was going to I was thinking about upgrading my GPU. It would not have made a difference to me. I would probably be upgrading my GPU regardless. But yeah, I feel everybody's pain. I really do. And console players, especially, wow. Imagine if that was told to us. Knock on cheap sheetrock that it does not get delayed on the computer. I don't know what I would do that week. I'd probably go walk around that lake I was filming at. Oh man. Okay. I'm going to let you guys go. I really, really appreciate all y'all coming on tonight. I had some people comment and say, you know what, I'm just going to do a video, and I don't really have time to make a full-blown video, nor would I make one to the extent that I made those other ones. But I just wanted to kind of have a little forum for everybody to like talk a little bit and maybe let out some frustrations. I think it was frustrating. My jaw dropped when I read it. I was surprised. People were saying they were not surprised. Were you guys surprised? I was surprised. Like from the aspect of lower frame rates on those videos and stuff, that's one thing. And seeing those early access videos was one thing. But I was surprised. Larry, you said something about streaming. I was thinking about move the mouse. He had access to messing with his settings and all that. So maybe some of them had that and some of them didn't. Nope, it's Paradox. Yeah. Maybe they're too focused on their new Civilization 7 ripoff, whatever it's going to be. I don't know. Maybe that's what they've turned their attention to a little bit too quickly. That's basically what it is, right? Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And my streaming software didn't crash. So that's a good thing. All right. I'm going to let you guys go. This one's for Bon Bon. Come on, you Spurs. All right. See you guys later. Take care, everybody. Appreciate you watching. Should I say hit the like button? I don't like saying that, right? Smash it, actually. Just smash it if you haven't already. All right. Appreciate you guys. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time. Good luck.